My name is Teresa Lockwood. I reside in Valley, New Jersey. Please excuse the marks on my face. I did a little surgery. So, anyway, the thing is, I'm going to critique a book written by Kari Tumminia, and it's called No Bad Dates. Just want to let you know from right off the bat, I did not buy this in regards to dating. So I have no interest in dating. The thing is I've encountered this person in my life, and so I'm not really sure how I'm going to critique it, because I want to critique different things in it. A lot of it is plagiarized, by the way. Excuse me. And I'm not talking about things that happen circumstantially in her life. A lot of the false principles that she is using is influenced by well, false ideologies. So the thing is that first of all, I just want to say she is not a dating expert or a love expert. So she strongly expresses that well, she doesn't really know about what love is. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have like a little bit of love in them or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know what I want to critique first. The thing is, it might be blended. Like, I mean, I always do. I mean, I have a focus that I want to talk about, and focus on that principle or point or subject. And then I blend it with other things. I can't separate them into different videos. So I don't know how this is going to go. So, other thing, I'm going to first start out with talking about, I guess I don't know what I'm gonna call it, her writing skills, what I see, and the thing is, it's just like, I had some thoughts like before I was doing this video, and she uses the word editing in here, okay, like editing yourself, and I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? And like, I get it, what they're expressing, like, presenting something other that isn't really genuine, or yourself or whatever, and I'm trying to find the concrete foundation of how she's using it. So the thing is that this is the thing. She's speaking against editing yourself. So this is the first time I've actually heard that term. So I don't know if it's like some trending way of saying something. I don't know if it's something that she gets from just like something that circulates through people, or her so-called therapy, which has all been toxic, obviously, even the present. So from what I viewed online, so the thing is excuse me, here's the thing. I have read many articles online that Kari Tumminia has written. And now, this is the thing. This is where I want to use editing, because it seems like, okay, the book is very basic. She uses basic words, which is actually always a good idea. Let me just start by the principles of the writing. I'm going to critique the writing in here, okay? But it's going to combine other principles of critiquing that is used in this book. This is the thing. The writing in this book is way different than many of the articles I've seen online. And in my other video, I recognize that, she is a good writer. She writes well. It does not mean that she has, like, all this insight and knowledge or whatever. She's very good at use of words. I don't see the same form of writing that I've seen in many of her articles that I've read. So I don't know how many articles I've read over the years, or like even posts of hers, or whatever the case may be. She does seem lost. She does seem like naive and ignorant to a lot of things. But to write a book of, I don't know how many pages this is. It's only like 112, 113 pages or whatever. So, I mean, it's small. But to write that in a book, I don't see any likeness of the articles and writings of her that she expresses. Now, this is the thing. People will look up words, or use words, that they've learned or what have you to try to, use a more beautiful expression and all these other things or whatever. And it doesn't mean it's superficial of the person at all. I'm not saying that. Even though this person, I believe, is superficial. But, personally, I get in trouble, like, for myself. Like, I use these words that people usually don't use because my communication with people always has been restricted. And I'm always trying to find words to use, or if I'm using something, it doesn't sound right or fitting, and then I reconfirm words and I use words. And apparently I get made fun of for using these words when I'm sitting there trying to just use common words, right? I'll look up words that are like synonyms, and I try not to go too far off of using some word that is, out of the common language, but I'm not really sure what that is, because I'm an avid reader, and the things that I read are different than what the average person commonly reads, like things like this. Like, I don't read things like this, okay? I just do, when I read books, it's basically researching and critiquing principles that people want to influence in society. So it's claimed facts, not that they are facts, because the majority of things that I read that people were presenting as, like, some objective knowledge or, facts, or, they claim to have some sort of wisdom or insight or whatever the case may be. A majority of it has been false, because it's like I put just about everything on trial. It's very exhausting for me to read a book sometimes. This wasn't. This was very basic and simple. Besides all the toxic stuff that's in here and influencing people to do, just basing it on the writing, trying to separate it from that. The writing is very practical and expressing to make sure you have it's for every audience. There's many people that read differently. There's people who don't read that well. So, it's a small, simple book. So if you are somebody, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody unless they want to critique it or whatever, or use for other whatever. But I wouldn't recommend this book to influence somebody that this is like, the way to go. Now, I will present it as like critically. I don't know if I use that word that rightly. I will have my critiques about it. The thing is, I think there's some good things in here. Like, I get it, but in principle, like, she puts everything out of the open of all her fails and everything else like that. And it's just like, no, I'm not attacking her for that or whatever. I'm attacking her for, her deception, manipulation, and how she's basically still using the same false principles and wrong ways into her present life and influencing people, and it's still a fail. It's just like, she tries to present herself as this selfless person, that's this humble person who's just naive and ignorant or whatever. And so she learns these things, and through all of her fails or what have you, it's like anybody who passes it on for their experience. Like, I'm telling you, so you don't have to go through this. But at the same time, she's like presenting it as, oh, you need to go through all this. I don't know if she needed to, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But all right, let me go back to focusing on the writing, because throughout the book she puts this thing that editing yourself, and it's just, the thing is, like, it only confirms, like, throughout the book that editing yourself to adjust to your whatever's in your environment is not a bad thing, because even though there's a lot of just false knowledge in here and blind ignorance, this book is edited, okay, to keep the words basic, because her words aren't as basic in her I mean, she could use words to sit there and make her other writings to be appearing to be like more beautiful or whatever. I mean, I get how people use words like that. I don't want to use the word beautiful. There's like another word I want to use, but they are. A lot of readings are pretty beautiful, and the thing is, just like people use it to be more illuminating to readers, and and things like that. And the thing is the basic principles, that they're used rightly, and you're relaying a message and you're telling that story or whatever, or what you want to convey to people or whatever. People are using my word convey ever since I used it, so try not to use that word now. I probably shouldn't do that. I shouldn't change my language. I just don't want people to think I'm copying from them when they're copying from me. So they've been doing that, but look, okay, let me just say, my feelings and emotions reading this. I've been angry. I cried. I laughed. And I think she keeps things very basic, right? But she presents an image to bring you into the story. So that is very good in writing. Okay. I actually particularly really loved that. It actually not blinded me, but blinded out everything else that was in the book, in a particular story that she expressed. And there's actually a lot in it that she expresses in it, and it's very, very beautiful. And it's a story with her friend John, actually. And because it brings like a thing, no matter what, of how this person like enjoys her for her creativity and her Kari, without all the other stuff or whatever. And she writes it in understanding of this other person that understands her in a moment that she's not expressing herself, and pulls it out of her what she is. And then she does the same thing actually to him. Like, she expresses like she sees the beauty in this situation. Okay, so he talks, I just almost want to read it. It's actually, I kind of like smiled. It was actually just a beautiful moment. And of course, because I'm angry with her. And the thing is, she basically does express this thing about, never feel that you're not good enough and all this other stuff. And the reality is, in a moment, and even if the state that she's in now and been presenting online, in reality, she may have just been not good enough for him. That's reality. Now, people have sit there and attacked me for basically, presenting this thing about other people being better than other people, and nobody's better than another, and human wise, in a sense, slightly, I agree with that. But the thing is, when people are condescending to me and basically try to bring me down to their level, trying to exalt themselves over me, like I am better than them. Okay, so things in this book by principle, like I see actually Kari just as being as just terrible as they are. Okay, the thing is, I just wanted to criticize the writing. Look, there's manipulation in here. And there's a form of, like, she's conditioned into this thing. Like, I mean, I thought it was very stupid. I mean, I did go back over it, but there's like when she's sitting there saying, make a list, do the, like, throw that shit out. I'm serious, throw it out. Throw it out. It sounds like the psychologist or whatever, the so-called psychologist, telling you to make a list and do these things or whatever, and she's putting it and reflecting it in her book, and so it's a form that she's taught to do, and it's like, don't do that. Like, I'm sitting there reading, I was like, I don't want to read this. I even wrote on the side of the page, like, skip. Like, look, here's the thing, I took notes all through the book, so I don't know if I'm gonna sit there and go through everything. So I'm gonna sit there and read. I mean, so, I don't think that was the first one. I don't know if I should just record my notes. Okay. I record my notes that I, excuse my, yeah, I'm still haven't fixed my, actually the back wall is actually been altered and changed since last I had it on my videos, not on my last videos, but, so, you know, yeah, and of course, some people will be like, you know, don't overanalyze it. Don't. No, I'm not. I don't overanalyze things. I observe things and I take notes on it. So, oh well, don't you know, look too deep into it. This is what their influence is on that I got in their church, by the way, the Nazarene Violent Nazarene Church. And I'm going to observe it how I observe it to who I am. As long as I observe it properly and perceive it properly for what it is. But the thing is to sit there and perceive something for what it is. When Kari's actually expressed in here that she herself has not perceived things does not mean she has expressed, okay, we use an example with John. Like, she put that in, like, a beautiful moment that was, she expressed it as a very importance to her. Like, it was somebody seeing her, and I'm sure it's a good memory. It was a good memory, made me a good memory. I'm just like, oh, that is so beautiful. And, so, you know, hold on. Let's sit there. I don't know if I can go through all these or whatever that I wrote in here. But the thing is that, yeah, so look, this is the thing. So she speaks about editing yourself or whatever, and the thing is like, yes, we do that. This book does that, okay? And I'm quite okay with it. And it doesn't mean they're being something that they are not. But they're adjusting to other people. And it's a good thing that a writer knows how to do that, okay? You know, I think it's really terrible when somebody, like, writes too much in a book. Especially, you know how many books, like, large books, I mean, these are principles and people's trying to express a knowledge, and most of it's wrong, and they fill it with a bunch of, like, empty talk, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, just sit there, I'm gonna get through this. Now, people may think that about my videos, too, you know, whatever. But I don't do all that. Like, I had to read through a lot of wasteful writing when I'm sitting there, have to critique works, and the way I study and read is, like, different, you know. It's so, and I know for a fact that I might not be seeing everything how she's seeing it. I'm not going to do it from she has a face, you know, head front to front, like, perspective that I'm going to. And, of course, she's experiencing it, okay? But I'm familiar with a lot of things that are in here. And she writes relatable things, and all the fails and all the goods, and and all these things, which is good, and trying to relate to people who are lost, who are confused, and goes through this stress or whatever. I don't think she has complete. This is the thing. I actually should do a video on relationship, and okay, I've only like dated twice. All right, so um, you know, what if you? Oh, I should specify that, because, like, I mean, I had to struggle on, like, okay, what is dating? Like, screwing people is not dating. I've actually had debates like this online, and because I've had people, like, claiming to be religion, they're very confused and lost and ignorant. And especially Muslims and stuff, or whatever, you're debating them, and of course they speak against dating, and so the thing is, and then they try to criticize, like, like well, they have a false view of, like, America. They think America are Christians. Okay, so they're very confused, and they'll post these pictures up like, oh, this is how your Christians dress. And it's just like, that's ridiculous, and you have to explain things to them. And so their whole thing is, they're not really allowed to date. I think there's like some that, with their parents or something like that or whatever, and yada yada yada. But the whole dating, going out on a date, and all these other things is not recommended. And the thing is, I try to explain to them. I said, first of all, dating has no relation to basically sleeping with each other. So apparently something that she was actually confused about. Okay, and a lot of people are. And so the thing is, oops, am I going backwards? I think I'm going backwards. Oh. Alright, I don't know. I'm just going to do a few more of this because I don't want too long, but these are just like notes. Alright. And I guess you would have to pause it to actually, if you want to know. Alright. Or do something clear, I don't know. But I don't know if I went through this already. So, there's influences on here. Like, it's a lot of these thoughts. Now, okay, people come up with thoughts. Like, we're always changing. This is something I, expressed and made, a proverb out of. It's just like, everything always changes us, no matter, everything, we're all changing all the time. No matter what, and every interaction that we make, and that is from my own insights, okay? Because there's a lot of things about, like, change, and people change, and all these other things. Now, yeah, I mean, I've seen people who have been completely, like, spiritually dead and, like, the same and not moving or whatever. It does not mean they haven't changed or altered anything or thinking or whatever. But, there's a lot of, like, repetitive people who just do the same thing every day, all day long. And there's, like, not really much change or whatever. Same people, same this, or whatever. Doesn't mean they're not going to slightly change, but, but everything is, every interaction changes us. We're going to change, and no matter what. Am I going backwards again? So, the thing is whether we mean to or not, whether we set out to be a big change or whatever. And I mean, I've written things about, like, life and death, and the most impacting things in life is, well, life and death, and from my original writings also. And some people, I mean, they will still keep things, but if they keep something, or they reject something in the moment, it's changing them. So these are my insights to, like, people. And the reason why I've changed so much, not by what they say. I've never obtained hardly anything from anybody that they tried to convince me of or whatever. I watch people, I observe people, and believe it or not, even though I'm just like, I hate people, I mean, the world is painful, and I love and hate just about everybody, basically, because people intrigue me, and I had to question that, because it was really strange, as though I was something that was so separate from people, but I recognize the individuality of people, and And even though people are painful in a lost state and an evil state for a lot of people, I still want to know the whys, you know, and, you know, and, oop, wrong. So, and, I think I skipped the pages and sit there and dropped a few pages or something, but anyway. So, you know, I don't know if you can see. So, alright, so, I just need to end, but, so there's a lot of sad things. I understand that. I see that. There's a lot of sad things and pain in here. And, you know, and I feel it. I think no matter who you are, you're gonna feel that pain of rejection. And I noticed she uses things with trauma. This is a thing. I've actually talked about this, where reality is, it's like, yes, we're meant to be with one person, and that's the truth. And the thing is, when we're with somebody, this is the thing. This is why. There's enough like concrete, objective knowledge to identify that we're supposed to be with one person. It's not just a rule that was particular to particular people. Why? Because separation from people, when you bond with people, it is painful. It is traumatic. And I've written that in relation to like divorce and things like that, and the pain. And the reality is that it's not only because of, it may not only because what he went through that relationship, okay? Because you do become one with that person. That's a reality. And separating from people, whether you had a good relationship or a bad one, it's going to be traumatic. It is. It's going to be a life-altering trauma, and these things weren't meant to be. That's the reality of it. And so the thing is that, you know, I mean, it could be, I mean, even if you're like with somebody, even separating them, even though and I'm not going to relate it to my life is very, very different. But the thing is that, people confide in me and told me things and things like that or whatever, but you know, it's, I can't relate it to my situation. So mine is sort of, I'm going to say sort of unique. It's not that it can't be it's not that unique. It's just, you know, there's some unique aspects or whatever, but related to like not the common relationship or whatever. But the thing is that, see, I knew I was going to get into other things other than like just critiquing the writing. Kari is, let me go back to that. Kari is very descriptive. The thing is, I've seen her write in a different way, where she describes something, and she keeps it very basic. So yes, editing, and which is good. It's not like she took herself out of it or eliminated herself, but, she made it broad to, be observed and make it simple for every different type of reader. So, which is a very good thing if you aren't poisoning them in the same time. So, I would not recommend, though, by the way, that you date 3 people at a time. I wouldn't actually recommend that you go out like just seeking a date. I'm not against dates at all, and things like that or whatever. I should do a video. Yes, I actually am a love expert. This is the thing. People are looking from like flesh to flesh instead of spirit to spirit. People do not understand that love itself is not the flesh. It is not your body. It's not your physical attraction. Now, yes, these things were designed, well, by love. Okay? But it can offset that if your knowledge is off and off balance. So there's a lot more I have to say about that. But the thing is that love itself is pure and perfect. And it's not in relation to person for like the perfect relationship. The perfection doesn't start from the outside. It starts from within inside. Okay? And I think she did reflect a little light on that in a sense. Not knowing if she's aware or not, because the thing is, there's so many things in there that that conflict against her awareness of that. But I think it's there. Okay. But the thing is that a love, the perfect, pure love is within everybody. And love is not the lust. And I think there's like one sentence in there that may like reflect that. But the thing is that it's not about being of self-love and loving yourself and all these things, and you have to, like, be right or whatever before you date, or things like that. I don't want to sit there. I said that wrong. It's kind of conflicting against my own self. I'm talking about, like, how do I say this? Be right in the conditions and the ways of the people or whatever, and trying to search what that is or whatever. Now, I understand, and I actually appreciate her saying that, you have to be, like, stable within yourself. And I'm trying to think of how she said it, because well, I'm just going to say this. This is the thing. Love purifies everything. So people are looking for love in, like, how you feel with another person. Okay. And the thing is, feelings, there's nothing wrong with feelings, but your feelings can be offset if you're offset from within yourself. Okay. And the way I look at it, or express it as in, and reflected biblically, yes, and spiritually, is that, this was combated against me. It's just like, love your neighbor as yourself. So love is a pure thing. It's not a lust thing, right? So the same type of love that you have for a neighbor, your mother, your father, your child, your sister, your brother, that if it's a pure, right love, okay, it's going to be the same for your husband. But the thing is, or your wife, from another perspective. So the thing is talking from the male to the woman or whatever. So the thing is that love is pure. It is pure. Love is a thing that is whole. Okay. There's no how do I say this? So it's just kind of like that same love. You should love your husband with. Now, this is what advice I've told my son. Don't go out looking for a date. Don't go out looking because you want to, like, have your, like, hormones or your, your senses, like, stimulated and all these other things or whatever, and get that rush or whatever. It's like, if you cannot encounter somebody without lusting or wanting to have children with them and all these other things or whatever, you should not be with them. That's not how you should encounter people. You should be friends with people. And that's where that pure state is that you make friends with people. Okay, you get to know them as a person instead of just like, oh wow, they're hot. If you go to a person, if she's like, oh wow, they're hot, yeah, I want to get with that. I want to get in bed with that. And if you're encountering people like that, or you're looking to date, with that mindset or whatever, yes, and they are using my words of mindset, by the way. And no, they're not my words. I know I'm not the only one who said it. They're actually deliberately copying me, and so is William Clay or whatever. But the thing is, it's just that it's off the bat, you're ruining a relationship if you cannot accept them for a friend. Now, this is the thing. When I wrote this story of John in here, it was just like, she was relating a lot of, like, and she writes about chemical, or like reactions and things like that or whatever. But she's encountering with this, with her flesh, okay? So the thing is just that you have to find that pure state encounter with people. Like, I mean, I can go out and talk to anybody that I want. I'm not going around sitting there wanting to, like, sleep with them. That is terrible, okay? Of course, I'm speaking from an aspect of, yes, being a celibate and being asexual means without being attracted to people and things like that. But the thing is, that's a pure state of mind. The thing is that I do not believe if there's, like, there's something wrong with your mind if you're basically encountering people and you get all hormonal. That's something that's wrong within your mind that you need to purify. Oh yes, by love. Okay, so you can love people in a right way. Okay, lusting after people is not loving people. So if you can't encounter people with a pure mind, with no like lustful intentions, there's something wrong with you. There is. So they, oh well, I'm only human. Well, I have needs, and I'm a guy, or I don't. I really hear that from women. Well, I'm a woman, so I have needs or whatever. Isn't there something? I heard that from guys a lot. Not in regards to me or whatever, but at least I don't think so. Well, actually, there was a couple, I think, and I'm just like, okay, well. My whole thing is like, I don't like people approaching me unless they have a pure mind in approaching me. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be like, you're not allowed in my space because you're lusting after me, which I've said that to people. And it could be other things. Like people can, may not be like attracted to me in that way or whatever, but they're encountering me for selfish reasons or deceptive reasons, and like I said, there may not be there could be no lustful attraction or whatever, but they're encountering me and not in a pure intended way. It still has that same reaction with me, like whatever. So I mean, I'm a person, I do not flirt, I do not lust, I do not do any of these things, and if I'm encountering you, it's all pure. It's all pure. Excuse me, I got an itch. And it's pure. So the thing is, this is what I taught my son. Like, you should not encounter a woman like you want to get with that. You have the wrong mind, a way of thinking. If you're encountering women like that, you're not going to respect her. That's you're just looking at her as a piece of meat or whatever, and something not to be valued. And the thing is, you should always look to be friends with people. You need to look at people by the spirit, okay, by the pure spirit, in mind, that you love your neighbor, your family, or whatever with everybody else. Because the thing is, like, I've actually told people, because I've actually encountered people who's just like, I'm sitting there talking to somebody, they're not my friends or anything, but they're around me, and maybe they would ask me a question or something or whatever, like in my ministry, and and then somebody walked down the street and was like, hey mama, ew. And I was just like, why do you talk to women like that? I said, what would you do? And I've said this so many times, especially in my street ministry. I was just like, I'm sorry, what would you do if somebody talked to your sister or your mother like that? I'll F them up. And it's just like, exactly. So why are you doing it? Like, why do you encounter women like that? I'm like, you need to see people by the spirit of the person, like who they are. I mean, it's just like, and it's really, really terrible. Like, why are you like chasing after people to like mate with, or doing all these things or whatever? That's I'm sorry, but that's not even human. It's animal. And we are above the animals. Okay, we are above the animal kingdom, and the thing is that we have a higher mind, okay, to come above that, and I'm going to end with that. I didn't realize it was like 39 minutes. Wow. But the thing is that no, she's not a love expert at all. She still doesn't understand these things because she's bringing things into it. Like, I mean, she's going to plagiarize, well, some things that I've said. She's going to plagiarize from her family, and some of it's wrong, or she's going to plagiarize like false things from her therapist, which is like one blind person going to another blind person. And of course, I have PTSD, so I sought out support or whatever. And of course, I'm not blind, but I mean, I was just seeking support. I told every one of them, I was just like, look, I said, I have, a lot of knowledge about things or whatever. I'm not looking for guidance. I said, I need to connect with somebody, somebody who understands. And of course, they didn't understand. They were very ignorant. Not only that, I had to deal with a lot of delusions and correct them all the time. And I felt like the counselor. And that's actually what happened. And it was actually really, really terrible. And I'm just like, this is like so backwards. And of course, I realized that those who do have insight and knowledge about insight, because people can go through experiences and not have like a deeper understanding and that spiritual experience walking through it and gained knowledge from that. Now, you can have knowledge about certain basics and, things about like, okay, the do's and don'ts, and this is what I learned my lesson about. But the thing is, there's a deeper knowledge that she's not obtaining to actually be any type of like counselor or anything like that. Can she obtain it? Yeah. Because she's still walking in the same path that she's basically speaking against. She knows it's wrong. She knows some of the things that she did is wrong. And she's looking for different alternatives to sit there and do it differently to protect yourself and all these other things. And I get that. Okay. And that's like basics. That's something to warn people of that. And I'm not against that at all. But why is she still walking in that same path, doing the same thing with, well, the things that she actually said that was her mistakes when she encountered and dated all these guys. And I'm not talking about the therapist that she admitted to screwing, okay, and all these other things. But even with her, actually 2 of them I actually saw online with her therapist, giving her these like pseudo like oils, and I actually looked them up and saw what they were and all these other things or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why are you buying into this? Right? And of course now her tapping and all these other things or whatever, but the same principles that she was saying, do not, adjust yourself to them to please them and do all these things and just be in agreement with them and all these other things. Look, everything that she was sitting there speaking against, she's actually expressing it, and I'm watching it happen as I'm watching her online. And she's adapting to herself of people who will, or basically people who express that they accepted her. And, and then of course I do see a struggle battle even with them and her wanting to be just Lord. She wants to be worshipped all the time. And this is not common. I've actually seen people, and that's why I wrote, something, about love like a number of years ago, because the thing is, and I said, if everybody is waiting, to be loved, instead to love, everybody would stand alone. Like, I mean, they would. So she's kind of backwards on what love is. Okay, so I'm actually going to end with this because it's 43 minutes. So, yeah.